If the young emperor has found any advantage in his lifelong weakness, it has been in that, perforce, he has read much. Before he was 15, he had read every book in his father's library, some more than once. His sorcerer's powers, learned initially from Sadric, are now greater than any possessed by his ancestors for many a generation. His knowledge of the world beyond the shores of Melnibone is profound, though he has, as yet, had little direct experience of it. If he wishes, he could resurrect the Dragon Isle's form of might, and rule both his own land and the young kingdoms as an invulnerable tyrant. But his reading has also taught him to question the uses to which power is put, to question his motives, to question whether his own power should be used at all in any case. His reading has led him to this morality, which still he barely understands. Thus, to his subjects, he is an enigma. To some, he is a threat, for he neither thinks nor acts in accordance with the conception of how a true Melnibonian, and a Melnibonian emperor at that, should think and act. His cousin Yerkun, for instance, has been heard more than once to voice strong doubts concerning the emperor's right to rule the people of Melnibone. This feeble scholar will bring doom to us all, he said one night to Divim Tovar, lord of the dragon caves. Divim Tovar is one of the emperor's few friends, and he had duly reported the conversation. But the youth had dismissed the remarks as only a trivial treason, whereas any of his ancestors would have rewarded such sentiments with a very slow and exquisite public execution. The emperor's attitude is further complicated by the fact that Yerkun, who is even now making precious little secret of his feelings that he should be emperor, is the brother of Cimmeral, a girl who the albino considers the closest of his friends, and who will one day become his empress. Down on the mosaic floor of the court, Prince Yerkun can be seen in all his finest silks and furs, his jewels and his brocades, dancing with 100 women, all of whom are rumored to have been his mistresses at one time or another. His dark features, at once handsome and saturnine, are framed by long black hair, waved and oiled, and his expression, as ever, is sardonic, while his bearing is arrogant. The heavy brocade cloak swings this way and that, striking other dancers with some force. He wears it almost as if it is armor, or perhaps a weapon. Amongst many of the courtiers there is more than a little respect for Prince Yerkun. Few resent his arrogance, and those who do keep silent, for Yerkun is known to be a considerable sorcerer himself. Also, his behavior is what the court expects and welcomes in a Melnibonian noble. It is what they would welcome in their emperor. The emperor knows this. He wishes he could please his court as it strives to honor him with its dancing and its wit. But he cannot bring himself to take part in what he privately considers a wearisome and irritating sequence of ritual posturings. In this he is, perhaps, somewhat more arrogant than your coon, who is, at least, a conventional boor. From the galleries the music grows louder and more complex as the slaves, specially trained and surgically operated upon to sing but one perfect note each, and stimulated to more passionate efforts. Even the young emperor is moved by the sinister harmony of their song, which in a few ways resembles anything previously uttered by the human voice. Why should their pain produce such marvelous beauty, he wonders? Or is beauty created through pain? Is that the secret to great art, both human and Melnibonian? The Emperor Elric closes his eyes. There is a stir in the hall below. The gates have opened, and the dancing courtiers cease their motion, drawing back and bowing low as soldiers enter. The soldiers are clad all in light blue, their ornamental helms cast in fantastic shapes, their long broad-bladed lances decorated with jeweled ribbons. They surround a young woman whose blue dress matches their uniforms and whose bare arms are encircled by 5 or 6 bracelets of diamonds, sapphires, and gold. Strings of diamonds and sapphires are wound into her hair. Unlike most of the women of the court, her face has no designs painted upon the eyelids or cheekbones. Elric smiles. This is Cimmerel. The soldiers are her personal ceremonial guard, who, according to tradition, must escort her into the court. They ascend the steps leading to the ruby throne. Slowly Elric rises and stretches out his hands. Cimmerel, I thought you had decided not to grace the court tonight. She returns his smile. My emperor, I found that I was in the mood for conversation after all. Elric is grateful. She knows that he is bored, and she knows, too, that she is one of the few people of Melnibone whose conversation interests him. If protocol allowed, he would offer her the throne. But as it is, she must sit on the topmost step at his feet. Please sit, sweet Cimmerel. He resumes his place upon the throne and leans forward as she seats herself and looks into his eyes with mixed expression of humor and tenderness. She speaks softly as her guard withdraws to mingle at the sides of the steps with Elric's own guard. Her voice can be heard only by Elric. Would you ride out to the wild region of this island with me tomorrow, my lord? There are matters to which I must give my attention. He is attracted by the idea. It seems it is weeks since he left the city and rode with her, their escort keeping a discreet distance away. Are they urgent? He shrugs. What matters are urgent in Melnibone after 10,000 years? Most may be seen in a certain perspective. His smile is almost a grin, rather like that of a young scholar who plans to play truant from his tutor. Very well, early in the morning we'll leave, before the others are up. The air beyond Mir will be clear and sharp. The sun will be warm for the season. The sky will be blue and unclouded. Elric laughs. Such sorcery you must have worked. Cymero lowers her eyes and traces a pattern on the marble of the dais. Well, perhaps a little. I am not without friends among the weakest of the elementals.